Greetings. Welcome back to the Death Taxes Sports Podcast. We're excited to bring you the 58th episode here tonight. I'm here with my co-host, Ben Holloway. Mr. Gary Johnson will wake up from his nap and join us eventually at some point. I'm sorry, I had to do that. And we're here with the guest, Mr. Jeff Cadillac, who is a contributor for Bet Sports Network and writer for SportsKeeda.com. Mr. Cadillac, how are you doing? A cool name, by the way. I'm kind of jealous.
Thank you very much. I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me. And how you doing?
I'm good, man. It's a good day. Definitely a good day. So, just here, just trying to make everything happen, man. Let's get some sports talk, shall we?
Anybody care how I'm doing? You know what I mean?
Ben, how are you doing, buddy?
I just had to. The same you had to bust Gary, I had to bust you. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. So it's going to be a fun time.
Awesome. So tonight we're going to talk about a little bit Cowboys versus Eagles. We got the players under the most pressure in the NFL playoffs and as well as fantasy football. First matchup. Mr. Cadillac, what's your views, man?
Hey, Jeff, do the tribute to Franco Harris. He's important.
I will give you. You know what? That's important. And you know what, Ben? I'm going to give you the floor because I think you can do it better than me.
Okay, fair enough. So Franco Harris was an Pro Bowler and multiple Super Bowl winner. I believe won the Super Bowl 4 times. He was playing in the 70s before I was born. Also probably has the most famous play in NFL history, Immaculate Reception, which I found out this week. They won that game, but they lost the next week. So they didn't win a Super Bowl that year. But he won 4 Super Bowls, one of the best 10 football players ever, most likely, at any position. That's how good he was. And rest in peace. Condolences to him and his family.
Yes, definitely. Good one. Like I said, you do it much better than myself. The legend's in the house. Gary Johnson. How you doing?
When you have children, you don't know exactly how you're doing, but so.
But you're here. You're living.
Yes,
you're here.
You're here. That's all that matters. We didn't know if you were taking a nap or something, but we're always here to support.
Didn't you hear he's a parent? Napping is not part of that equation.
No, napping is sleep. That's just what that is.
I hear you.
Let's move it along, shall we?
But yeah, so Gary, we're just getting ready to talk about these Cowboys and Eagles, and I was getting ready to kind of throw the question out here.
Okay.
Mr. Cadillac, man, talk to me. What are some of your thoughts on this game? How's it looking?
Well, I'm looking at this game. First of all, Philly is Jalen Hurts is not going to be playing in this game. Dallas didn't look too good against the Jaguars last week. I like the Jaguars in that game, believe it or not. The first meeting, you got
wait,
Rush.
Jeff, sorry. You said the Jaguars. We're talking Cowboys, Eagles. Which team did you mean to say?
I know. I said I was leading up to the fact that.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
Against, Dallas, they were, the last week because it always leads up to it. Dallas didn't look good against the Jaguars, and I was leading up to the fact that in the first meeting of these two teams, Cooper Rush was the quarterback in Week 6. So a lot of people might not remember that. He had a bad game against Philly. That took him out of the game. But in this game here, we're talking about you got, Jalen Hurts is definitely out. You got Gardner Minshew is in there. But he's capable of leading this team because Philadelphia has a lot of weapons at their disposal. Miles Sanders, last week he had that one fumble. It was like the first fumble he's had this season. He's moving forward. He's going to, adjust. And their game plan is going to change a little bit this week, Philly. But against Dallas, we'll see what happens. I like, to be honest with you, I like Philly in this game. The defense for Dallas, they're rusty at times. They're 24th against, they have a 24th rushing defense.
Wow.
And a lot of times it doesn't get the job done. And last week, the Jaguars ran on Dallas 192 yards against Dallas last week. So if I'm Philly, I'm going to run heavy in this game, sprinkle a few passes here and there, and control the clock. make sure Dak and company doesn't have too many possessions.
Cadillac, that's a good stat. 24th. I didn't even realize that they were that bad statistically. That's an interesting one because they always talk about how good this defense is. Gary, what's some of your thoughts, man? Definitely a division game. It's going to be certainly be an interesting one.
Jeff absolutely hit the nail on the head on a lot of the points I was going to make regarding Dallas's defense being suspect. I think yes, Philly's going to take a hit. It's Gardner Minshew versus Jalen Hurts. You're not that's a clear downgrade, but by no means is Gardner Minshew a scrub. I think he has enough game manager in him, and as you said, Jeff, there's enough weapons in Philly where, it wouldn't surprise me if they go ahead and win this game. I don't anticipate it. I think Dallas will ultimately win the game, but it wouldn't shock me if Philly wins this and wins the NFC East and the number 1 seed. And just want to get that wrapped up so you don't have to worry about Jalen Hurts until playoff time.
Ben.
Yes, sir. So, as the resident Cowboys fan, not afraid to admit it, have heard stuff for 27 years and will continue until they actually do anything. It's my squad. It's my squad. I can take all the jokes. They definitely have a tendency this year, and honestly, it really wasn't last year, but definitely this year, where they don't show up against bad teams. They barely beat the Texans and arguably should not have if the Texans scored from the 3-yard line, which I don't care what your record is or what your quarterback is, you should be able to get 3 yards. So if they scored, we lose against the Texans, and then the alarm bells are probably even more than what they are. Obviously lost to the Jaguars, lost to Green Bay, which to me almost always was going to be a loss because Rodgers was not going to lose to McCarthy. It just was not going to happen. I didn't care what their record was. Rodgers is so vindictive and takes everything so personal. There was no way we're going to win that game. That's just how I felt, even with the lead. Specific to this game, and more so the Cowboys, part of their issue, and I don't want to make excuses because I'm not that person, but Anthony Brown, most people don't know the name. He's not a Pro Bowler. He's not amazing, but he's their second corner, and he's gone for the year. And in his place is Kelvin Joseph, who basically never plays defense. And now he has to play defense as a corner. And they are ignoring Trayvon Diggs and attacking Kelvin Joseph like crazy.
Well,
and he is getting exposed. The point of me saying that is bro, if your strength is your pass rush, which it is, if your secondary is weaker, which it is, you have to get a pass rush. And they have not for 2 weeks in a row against against the Texans and against the Jaguars. We barely hit the quarterback. And those offensive lines are not exactly top 10 units. So the fact that the pass rush has disappeared is arguably a bigger problem than Dak's turnovers.
Can I add something to that? You made a good point, Ben. You see the cornerbacks for the Dallas Cowboys, they're not picking up the run as well. And that's the part of the game that Dallas is suffering. When you have a very good run defense, it means that your secondary is also helping out on the tackles. If you notice the game on Monday night with the Rams and the Green Bay Packers, you had cornerbacks that are helping out on the run. That helps. That stops the run. That stops part of the game. Now the quarterback has to throw the ball more often. Nobody is stepping up in the Dallas secondary, and that's the problem there. You got banged up secondary. They're getting burned. Everybody's staying away from Diggs. That's a definite. But they are just not doing the job, and the guys up front are not doing the job as well. That's why the rushing defense is so bad.
Parsons, D. Lawrence, do what you're paid to do. Hit the quarterback. They're still playing. They're still healthy. Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, do what we're paying you to do. Hit the quarterback.
And I hate to tell you this, but Dak Prescott is not one of those quarterbacks that you put the team on his shoulder and say, I'm going to take you to the promised land. He's just not one of those guys. He's proven. I know you're a big Dallas fan, Ben, but I hate to tell you the truth. He's just not one of these kind of
Jeff,
guys.
that's a nice little teaser. We're gonna get there in the next topic. So
you know,
it's a nice little teaser.
But he's proven that he makes mistakes at crucial times. He's not aware of the time management. That's a problem. And when you got Philly also, believe it or not, they're the number 2 total defense in the NFL. They're the number 1 pass
Niners,
defense.
right?
So
right behind the Niners, right?
What?
Right behind the Niners, right?
No, number 2 total defense, number 1 pass defense in the NFL. I just looked it up before we came on. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you something. Knowing that pass defense is out there, that's going to give a lot of problems to Dak come game time.
Yeah, and I will say this. What's interesting, my buddy, and I don't want to dominate the conversation, so Gary and Jeff definitely jump in after this point. I don't want to be talking too much here. But
good, man.
My buddy Jordan is a huge Eagles fan, and it's interesting. He's the Eagles fan that somehow, some way has doubted his team and still doubts his team at 13-1. But I told him this, and I think it's actually a valid point. You guys can disagree. The fact that Minshew is playing, arguably, if, because I'm not here to say Dallas is going to beat Brady in round 1, because I'm not saying that. But if they did, most likely they would go to Philly. And what's interesting is in that game, that potential third game, would be the first time Dak plays Hurts this year. So it's interesting, like the Eagles probably didn't show their hand against Cooper Rush. Hopefully we won't show our whole hand against Minshew. So that third matchup, if it happens, will be the first time those 2 QBs, hopefully Hurts comes back. We know it's a minor injury, but it'll be the first 2 times those 2 QBs face this year.
Yeah. Yeah, all good stuff. There's really nothing for me to contribute to that part. You guys did a great job on that. So I give you guys a round of applause. Great job, man.
Gary
really
Johnson, anything to add on the game or January? We have to do this because I did a Twitter poll. Sorry. We have to say before we go to the next segment, given health, for the most part, Hurts is playing, are the Eagles making the Super Bowl? Not necessarily winning, but do they make the Super Bowl? Let's go round table.
I'll answer one quick word. No.
I think I think if they're fully healthy, they're going to the Super Bowl because it's going to come down to San Francisco and Philly, and the game's going to be in Philly, and the place is going to be rocking. And I give the edge. I think it would be a 3-point game that Philly wins, and they go into the Super Bowl.
All right. We'll see where that. We'll definitely.
What about
we'll definitely.
Jeff? Me and you got to answer that.
No, I said no.
You said no? Okay,
Yeah, no.
My bad. I missed it. I'll also say no. I just can't. They have a stacked roster. There is not a weakness, and they're mostly healthy. So everything says put all your money on Philly. But we know, we've been watching sports and football long enough. Not always the best team wins. So that's the only thing that I say I can't see Philly make the Super Bowl. And that's not Cowboys hater or anything like that. If they do make it, I'll give them a round of applause. They did a fantastic job. I'm just saying now, I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah, no doubt. There's definitely going to be a lot of interesting races in the NFC and as well as the AFC. And speaking of pressure, there's definitely a lot of players. And I think NFL Outdated had mentioned something about Cousins is going to change the narrative this postseason. And I'm just going to take dibs. And that's going to be the first person that I think has probably the most pressure. I think this is with an 11-3 record. He has the best receiver in the game, arguably.
Definitely top
people
3.
Have difference of opinion. Definitely top three. Justin Jefferson, I think, is. I mean, the man's proven it, but yeah, I mean, you look at all the other options with Osborne and Dalvin Cook, and they just trade for T.J. Hawkinson. I mean, I think this is probably the best constructed roster that he has for them to be able to make it. However, 9 of their wins were by within one score. So, as much as they had the best comeback, they still went down 33-0 and had to make the comeback.
I'll let you keep going. I just don't want to lose my thought. They've outscored their opponents by 2 points.
Well, Minnesota, you want to know something about Minnesota? Their defense is suspect. There's a lot of
it's
times
horrible.
teams
It's
just go right
trash.
down the field and score on them, and there's no one to be found, And every time they win a game, they're dancing around like they just won the Super Bowl. And let me tell you something. I was on another show. I didn't know which one was worse. I don't know if the Colts were worse for, losing that lead, or Minnesota for getting down so far and then, with this miraculous comeback. To me, the Minnesota Vikings are a bunch of fakers. I don't really think they're such a great team. Honestly. Look, Dallas comes in and kicks their butt 40-3. The next week they beat New England by 7. They're not a sound team. And Kirk Cousins, let me tell you this also. If you shut down the run on Minnesota and it's all on his shoulders, he folds up like a house of cards. He is not a consistent quarterback. Pressure is his worst enemy. He's shown it. He's done it before in the past.
Facts.
Hey, Jeff.
That's facts.
Jeff Long. Sorry, we got it. Jeff and Jeff. Jeff Long, why don't you go ahead for simplicity purposes, name your other 2 players with the most pressure.
I'm going to go with Josh Allen because, as Gary said in the past couple episodes, if not now, when, right? The NFL, nothing's guaranteed. We don't know. Stephon Diggs is not getting any younger. I think this is the best constructed roster, really the best chance that he has. And if he doesn't really prove it this year, I'm not sure if he's ever going to be able to make it back. That's just reality of it. And then I'm going to go Lamar Jackson. If they're still able to hold on to it, because they're at 9-5, it's getting a little suspect there. But just because with the whole contract situation and just all the drama behind that, and then now him missing practice and being injured, you just wonder if they make it, he's going to have to really show out to really justify. I still think he's going to get his money, but it's just a matter of how much leverage is he really going to have. I just want to ask you a quick question. What is your take on that whole Lamar Jackson situation? I feel you have some. Yeah, I like the knowledge that you've been spitting, sir.
You asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You. Hey, how you feel about Lamar Jackson?
Okay. What I'm doing is I'm thinking is Lamar Jackson. First of all, he's not going to be in this week, so Tyler Huntley is going to be there. But as he's getting older, he's going to have to pass more. He's not going to be able to run all over the field like he thinks he was before. That's how the guy gets injured. That's how you lose games. Okay, he's going to have to. If you watch him in the pass game, his mechanics are not the greatest. What Baltimore should do in the offseason is they should hire a good quarterbacks coach and bring in somebody that can work with Lamar's mechanics, because that's the only way Baltimore is going to get to that next level. They keep teasing everybody. Oh, they get to the playoffs, but they don't go anywhere. Lamar Jackson, and also he has great runners behind him. He had J.K. Dobbins last week, running for, daylight. They ran for 190-something yards against Cleveland, and they lost. That should not have happened. Tyler Huntley, he made it. He threw an interception. There were a couple of fumbles. Justin Tucker misses 2 field goals. When has that ever happened? The sloppiness of Baltimore also. They're a team that wins ugly. They win a lot of games, yes, but they win them by small margins. And you start to wonder, if one thing happened here or one thing happened there, they'd lose. But definitely Lamar Jackson is going to be the center piece of this team, and he has to get his mechanics a little better because he's not going to be able to run every time, and it's not going to prolong his career.
Just wanted to add quick on Lamar. I agree with most of what you said, maybe all. Their biggest problem, maybe not biggest, and part of it is because of their running style and how often they run. But can you get the man somebody better than Rashad Bateman, who now is out for the year, and Duvernay is hurt? Can you get something at the wide receiver position for him? And I get it. Free agent wide receivers don't want to go there because they run the ball 55% of the time. But you gotta, if that's the case, you throw more money than you want to, a la the Jaguars with Christian Kirk. And that's worked out pretty good. You got to throw more money at a receiver to get somebody, overpay him to get somebody. You do it.
And tell you something, Baltimore's problem also is their secondary is terrible. You really want to talk about teams. I mean, Marcus Peters been burnt more than toast. He's terrible. He is the worst. He is one of the worst. Everywhere he's gone, he's been burnt. You
Well,
take
he's
him to
falling
Kansas City, he gets
falling
burnt.
off a cliff real quick.
He
He's
goes
a lot
to the
worse than
Rams, he
was.
gets burnt. And everywhere he goes, he's terrible. He's one of the most overhyped guys there. I mean, Jacksonville, they beat Marcus Peters. They just kept throwing to his side. It's terrible. He's and the other guy on the other side, I don't even know, but the secondary for Baltimore is terrible. If you have a guy who comes in, that's why Jacksonville was able to beat them, because the secondary is terrible. Baltimore is missing a few pieces before they could say we're making a run for the Super Bowl.
Wait, Cadillac, I gotta ask the follow-up. You're not talking about Marlon Humphrey, right?
Not him, but there's other guys in the secondary.
He's like a really,
terrible.
really good corner.
There's guys in the secondary. As a whole, there are a lot of times they're looking at each other after big plays going, I thought you had it. I thought you had it.
Yeah.
No,
I'm with you. I know what you're saying. I was just clarifying.
As a whole, the secondary is terrible. You know?
Yeah, no doubt. Gary, all good points. But Gary, what about your top? What about you three? Most pressure.
All right, so you already said Josh Allen. So yeah, Josh Allen, for points that I've made multiple episodes with Buffalo. Like, you've been the sexy pick. You've been the class of the AFC. You've been everybody's chic pick to go to the Super Bowl. You're either going to have to cash in or they're going to blow that team up. So I think he's under pressure. I think Kirk Cousins is under pressure. And you said Lamar Jackson, and yes, I think, he's got to have a significant postseason run to justify whatever big money that he's looking for at this point. Because otherwise, they're just going to look at him and go, you didn't stay healthy when we need you the most. So I think just, those three right there. And it's funny, we look at the quarterback position being under the most pressure, but, you're paid the big bucks to deliver. And, you see with Kirk Cousins, he delivers during the regular season, kind of, sort of. Lamar Jackson has been an MVP. These guys are really that's where the pressure lies, and they have to deliver. And I'll do a honorable mention to Dak Prescott, because his fan base is going to pressure him no matter what. They're starving. Ben, you've said it, it's 27 years without a championship, and Jerry Jones is no spring chicken. He wants one before he goes off to the big Cowboy stadium in the sky. So,
Mr. Cadillac, I think you mentioned you may have some time concerns. So do you want to say your three most pressure for playoffs before I go?
The funny thing is with the Dallas Cowboys, it's not even that Dak is pressured. It's more like Jerry Jones, because he ever since Jimmy Johnson left, he's been trying to prove to the world that he knows football. And unfortunately, he doesn't. He's proven to the world, because they haven't gotten anywhere. The worst thing he ever did was say to Jimmy Johnson, we're going to go our different ways, because Jimmy Johnson is a very good evaluator of talent. I mean, that Super Bowl that Switzer won, you and I could have coached that team.
It's all Jimmy's team. Yep.
Yeah, you and I could have coached that team because they were on autopilot. That was basically a team that was put together by Jimmy, and they just went out there and did what they had to do and continue his philosophy. It was just after that, because Switzer was too much of a player's coach. He was not more of, we need to get it done. Jimmy, everywhere he went except Oklahoma State before he went to the University of Miami, wasn't winning over there. But once he got to Miami, he had free reign. He was able to install his philosophy and his plan, and that's how he became successful. So he just brought it right over to Dallas, because Dallas was terrible by the time he got there. And he took over. But Jerry Jones has been trying to save face ever since, and he thinks he knows what he's doing. He's trying to tell the world. He doesn't. And that's the biggest, that's the biggest obstacle that the Cowboys have.
Before you go, Mr. Cadillac, may I respond as the Cowboys fan? Just let's see if we can have some fun. I'll respond to that. So Jerry Jones, being the Cowboys fan that I am, I pretty much watch 95%, not of their games, like of their plays. I will record it and watch it. I religiously watch it. And speaking Jerry Jones, okay, So 2000, I'm not going to Google it because I don't want to know for a fact. Either 2013 or 2014, Jerry Jones in the draft room is pounding the table. He wants Johnny Manziel, wants Manziel. Starting with that draft and going to now and moving forwards. And I can only speak to the draft. Free agency, he probably's got some pull. In the draft, he does nothing because he wanted Manziel. He wanted Calvin Ridley, whatever year that was, and he wanted another receiver. And every time since 2014, they said, no, Jerry, the draft, we're doing it. And yes, we have not won in January, but look at the roster and see how many of the guys are draft picks. They draft well. They just don't play well in January. It ain't Jerry. The media thing is Jerry. The players play the game. The players have talent. The players aren't playing the way they should. That ain't got to do with Jerry.
Well, it's also the program that they're in. Every coach brings in their own system, their own way of doing things. The funny thing is that you have a quarterback, he doesn't succeed in one system. All of a sudden he goes to another system. He looks fantastic. You take Geno Smith, for example, all the different places he went, he looked horrible. But also he's the kind of quarterback, he needs a successful running back behind him. He needs a decent running back. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this league. They can't do it all by themselves. They need a competent running back. Geno Smith has proven, hey, you give me a competent running back behind you, I will lead the team. Seattle's got other problems besides that, but that's the kind of quarterback, it depends on what kind of system you're in, because that allows you to succeed or not succeed.
But the media and fans and everything wants to blame Jerry because it's the convenient thing, and that's what everybody does on TV. Okay, Jerry Jones did not commit 18 penalties against the Niners last year. It wasn't him. He wasn't on the field. That is the biggest reason that they lost that game, not Jerry Jones. 18 penalties, one game. That ain't Jerry.
But I get both sides of the argument, though. There is pressure. There's pressure on both sides. Jerry Jones. There's pressure on the players. It's the Dallas Cowboys. It's Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys. Like,
Mr. Jeff Long, before we transition to fantasy football, can I name my most pressure players?
Go for it. Yes, you can.
Okay. Dak, Jalen Hurts, and others you guys already named. Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins, and I'll throw a name that nobody mentioned. I'm not saying he has to win or even win 2 playoff games, but I think Mr. Justin Herbert has to at least have a good game in their first round game, even if they lose, because everyone talks about how he's this amazing arm talent and he's naturally and physically gifted, which he is. But, okay, you're going to go to the playoffs, most likely for the first time. Play well. Even if your team lets you down, play well. So Herbert was on my list, and Hurts, because you got the best team. It's pretty clear. 13-1. There's pressure to go to the Super Bowl. There just is. And Dak, because, we talked about the defense, and we talked about, maybe CeeDee Lamb and the other receivers aren't good enough, but I'm sorry, you got a top 10 offensive line. You got a top 10 running game with 2 really good running backs. You got CeeDee Lamb. You got Schultz. If you are the guy, which Mr. Cadillac said he's not, and I'm not going to say he is, but if you are, you win with this team. So Dak arguably has more pressure than anybody this whole playoffs.
We'll see. Pressure's pressure. Kyle, did you give yours?
Mr. Cadillac went on a rant about Jerry Jones, but he didn't give any players.
Oh, people that have a lot of pressure on, definitely Kirk Cousins, because nobody thinks he's taking this team to the Super Bowl. Josh Allen, the Bills, they're built to win. They have the pieces. It comes down to him. I'm not crazy about the quarterback leading the team in rushing. That to me is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Because he's going to take off one day. I'm not wishing it upon him or anything, but defense are going to key up right on him.
Mr. Cadillac, sorry, that reminds me. Do you think it was a mistake that they did not pursue either McCaffrey or there was another running back that got traded? Not the one they got. Hines is a passing running back only. There's another name I can't think of, but McCaffrey definitely was available.
I don't even know.
Did they make a mistake not getting McCaffrey?
Oh, definitely.
I think so
McCaffrey
too.
adds so much to a team. I even told somebody, I said, if the Bills had got McCaffrey, just give him the Super Bowl trophy now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because that would have been the icing on the cake.
Yep.
You take so much pressure off Josh Allen when you got McCaffrey back there. You're looking at Brock Purdy right now. He's loving life. He's making the most of his opportunities. There is, if anybody has no pressure, it's him. He was third string come training camp. You had Trey Lance, then he gets injured. Jimmy G comes in. Okay. He was like, not even in training camp. No pressure on him.
Not only
he gets
that,
injured. Now you got Brock Purdy. Let me tell you something.
The last guy drafted.
San Francisco is a dangerous team right now. Nobody wants to play because Brock Purdy, what pressure does he have? So he doesn't do well. Big deal. He was a 7th-round draft choice. Big deal. So what? He's making the most of an opportunity. He's got a lot of pieces around him, and now the team is has been clicking like crazy. Last 5 games, they've been kicking butt and taking numbers.
No, that's real. Man. Ben, any thoughts?
Nah. I'll see. Maybe we can head to our fantasy football topics, and then we'll all go maybe watch that football game.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt. Kind of like you said, you had other obligations. You have to depart us, I believe.
Yeah, well, fantasy is not my big, forte. So I'll let you guys go. I want to thank you very much for being on the show. I enjoyed it. Definitely love the conversation. Love you guys. And hopefully we'll talk soon.
No doubt. We'll definitely bring you back on as we get closer to the draft and all that good jazz. So thanks for joining us, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, guys. Have a good
evening. Mr. Cadillac. We appreciate it.
All right. Peace. All right. Looks like it's just you and I for right now.
Gary's coming back.
We'll
Here
be back.
we go.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Uh-oh.
The legend. He's back. He's back.
The legend is back.
Wow. I hit refresh.
Legend.
Don't know what happened there.
You're all good, man. We on to our fantasy
Gary
football.
the Legend Johnson. You need to change it from Gary G to Gary the Legend Johnson, okay? Because you, sir, are the legend.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, so fantasy. So fantasy football.
You got anybody going tonight, Jeff, or playing against anybody tonight's game?
Yeah, I got Garrett Wilson tonight in our league.
Podcast league. Yep.
Gary the Legend Johnson. Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. It's gonna be interesting, y'all. How about y'all?
Gary, got anybody?
Nobody.
Or going against your opponent?
No, I have no opponents that have any. Well, no, just besides Jeff having Garrett Wilson, I have nobody else going up against anybody tonight.
Yeah, I was thinking of that Thunderdome league you talk about a lot. No matchup, no players tonight.
No, nobody tonight. Right now, it's looking a little dire for me, but we'll see what happens.
So I got in my biggest money league, so arguably most important. I'm playing against, and I haven't looked, so don't tell me if you know. But Christian Kirk and Garrett Wilson, my opponent is starting both. So that is a game I'm definitely going to watch that maybe I wouldn't watch, but I want to know what those two guys do. And then in this podcast league, I got the Jaguars D and Ingram at tight end.
Nice. Yeah, man, it's gonna be. But this game just kind of changed up a little bit. Who would have thought that this game would have actually had some type of relevance late in the season as far as playoff implications?
Yeah.
Did anyone ever think of that at all? And these Jaguars now, we talked about it with D a little bit on Tuesday, but are we a little bit more in believing in the Jags now that Ryan Tannehill is out? Now they're starting Malik Willis at quarterback. Does that change your thoughts at all?
So I said Tuesday, and I'm saying it now. They're winning the division, and it's still early. Anything can happen, but it's about to be halftime. Right now, it's 13-3 Jaguars.
Yeah,
Not looking at stats, but the score is 13-3 Jags at halftime.
13-3.
I said it Tuesday. I'm sticking with it. They're winning the AFC South.
All right.
definitely. I think,
Awesome.
I think they're going to stumble into. They're going to kind of back their way into winning this division, but I mean, they're the mirror image of their NFC counterpart, where somebody's got to win that division. Somebody's going to host a playoff game that probably shouldn't, and it's going to be a team out of Florida. So that's what it is.
Hey, Jeff, real quick, we're going to go like rapid fire roundtable, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Any matchups that, we got to start somebody, but we're like, crap. We don't want to start them, but we have to.
That's the tight end situation has just been in flux for me, and especially in the one going against in our fantasy in our sportscast podcast.
We got you. Keep going. We got you.
Okay, but I had to pick up this guy whose name I don't even know how to pronounce. He's the Titans tight end.
Okonkwo or something. Okonkwo.
What you said. I'm not even going to try to butcher the man's name. Because I had another guy who's also the tight end for Denver, whose name I can't even pronounce, Dulcich. But it's just kind of toss-up. I just got to start a tight end. So we'll see what happens.
Gary, got any tough matchups? Or some of your stars that you can't bench?
God. It's just, I was a little bit more confident in my team when prior to the news of Lamar Jackson being out yet again. So a successful defense of my championship once again lies in the hands of Aaron Rodgers in 2022. And I'm just like,
I will say this, Gary, out of your options, that has to be the best, because his matchup, if you win this week, his matchup next week is a cupcake as well. Playing that Vikings trash defense next week.
I need Lamar back. I trust him more than I trust Aaron. Like I lucked into my win to get to the next round in the Thunderdome, because, like I said Tuesday, I needed 5 points to win. I got 8 from Aaron Rodgers, and I'm at least saying maybe he'll do better because he's going to be in Miami. A warmer climate in December should result in a better Aaron Rodgers, but he has not put up. He's only had a 20-point game in fantasy once this whole season. So I'm just kind of like,
your QB scoring in that league is definitely interesting too. Because in mine, he's put up 20 plus, not a lot, but maybe 4 times or something. But the fact that you said he got 8 points means like maybe in most leagues he got 15 or so.
Yeah, and I checked in our podcast league, it definitely was. I think he got like 14.8 or something for somebody else. So,
okay, I'm with you there.
But either way, the point is he's greatly underperforming at his position at this point. And part of it is age. Part of it is the lack of
respect time. Jeff, I know you said you got to run. I'll go quick. Dallas Goedert, I got to start. I don't have a choice. Minshew's playing. Dallas is pretty good against tight ends. I don't have a choice. And Burrow at New England. I don't want to do it, but I got to do it.
Yeah, Burrow. Yeah, that's right. I forgot Burrow's going against New England. That's going to definitely be an interesting one. But Gary the Legend Johnson himself, aka, what's up, boy? You got any other thoughts?
Just this is the weekend that we kind of just pray everything goes right, and I get a decent performance from my running backs and my wide receivers, and hopefully we get back to the championship where I can hopefully successfully defend this title and go off.
Gary, I'll give you a little optimism. Miami's going to score some points, so Green Bay is going to have to score some points. So maybe that's good for Rodgers. Maybe.
Who knows?
We shall see. But yeah. But all right, folks. That was good episode, guys. Always great to have it going. Take a little break before the holiday season, the holidays and all that good stuff. But you guys have a good, happy holiday season with you loved ones. It's my first holiday season as a married man. So kind of excited.
Yeah.
Yes, as a married.
So we'll give a quick teaser. We will be next Thursday, last show of 2022. Don't miss it.
Yeah.
Yes. What he said. All right, that's a wrap. Thanks to all of our supporters. Stay tuned. Bye.